So moved.
Second?
Mr. DeAndrea, this meeting been advertised in accordance with open public meeting.
Yes, it has.
Everybody please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take a roll call, please.
Mr. Bauken.
Here.
Mrs. Backo. Mr. Bishada.
Here.
Mrs. Bruno Rothuya.
Here.
Mr. Syak.
Here.
Mrs. Esposito. Mr. Lembo.
Here.
Mrs. Crowder.
Here.
And Mr. McEnroe.
Present. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to hopefully adopt our budget, and Dr. Alfano is going to give a budget presentation in a synopsized version. Dr. Alfano?
Mr. DeAndrea, would you also like to come up? My sidekick.
I'd like to welcome.
Yeah, we go. This is the public hearing, and if anybody has any questions, I'm going to go through relatively quick the budget presentation, and Mr. DeAndrea also will answer any questions that anybody has. If you can't see it from where you're sitting, which you probably will have difficulty doing, it just might be because I'm near one of the. But you can also move up. There are some copies around that I've sent out. Hopefully there's enough for everybody. This year, Eric, if you just move to the next slide, please. Once again, we have a number of meetings that we went through, starting from February 15th, and it runs all the way through April 13th. So we have about 9 or 10 different meetings that start with the PIC, that started with the community, and so on and so forth. And we will end up, tonight is the March 29th. We still have some PTO meetings that we have to do, as well as some community meetings. But as you can see, we were at the mayor and council last night. Again, major things that we consistently look at is the all-day kindergarten. Every year that comes up, and whether or not we're going to keep that. Every year, more and more, all-day kindergarten is becoming a thing of the past in this county. It used to be about 50-50. It's dropped now to about 60-40, where less and less districts are doing it because of money reasons. But we're still having an all-day kindergarten. Courtesy busing, elementary K-5 is still in existence. We have 5 new teachers in the budget. Technology is huge this year. We're spending about $700,000, of which we are going to include this year the parent portal for online grading. So we really want to, I know there are a lot of parents from the PIC committee that was really pushing for that. So we really wanted to do that. And of course, workbook, consumables, and supplies, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Next slide, thank you. Staffing and instruction, curriculum 2011 and 12. Basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep what we have, and subsequently right now, this year we're going to spend close to $1.2 million. Textbooks, these are just replacements. They're not new textbook series. We are going to spend about $131,000. Other reading series textbooks, which are consumables for our new reading series, is K-6 is up to almost $200,000. Some curriculum writing is $40,000. 5 new teachers, and again, that's contingent upon where we have the most need. 1 in the high school, 1 in the middle school, 2 in the elementary, which would include the SUES, as well as 1 for special education, which every year we have probably, because it's mandatory and mandated. And technology, you can see it's $330,000 with infrastructure, netbooks, equipment, etc. So we're going to spend quite a bit of money this year on trying to keep our infrastructure where it is. Facility work. Last year we did very little because we lost about, I believe it was almost 5% of our budget last year, and we lost over $4 or $5 million. This year we received about 4% more in state aid. So subsequently, right now, we are going to really concentrate this year on the middle school, which we're spending $758,000. Wilson, we're finalizing what we started. Wilson, I believe we spent close to $2 million in the last 3 or 4 years getting that building up to code, as well as the high school A-wing MDF backup generator. So that is something that we were spending a lot. This year it's $1.3 million. A lot of that money came out of reserve. So, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. The next is just our enrollment as well as our staffing. Pretty much the same thing as last year. Our enrollment is flat from last year. It has not really gone up. And the new staff is flat from last year. So for the most part, it has not changed. The next few slides are what is called a comparative spending guide. This, again, every year we try to give you a little synopsis of how we compare to the rest of the county and the rest of the state. The comparative spending guide from 9-10 is from last year. Once again, we are far above the state average in the number of student to support service ratio. So you can see that that's and the number of students to teachers, we're almost a point over. We're over a point, and we're 12th ranked. When it says we're 12th ranked, we are put in a category of 105 different school districts from around the state that have 3,500 or more students. So there's 600 school districts approximately in the state. We fall into the category of school districts 3,500 or larger. So when you see we're 12th ranked, that means we're 12th ranked from the bottom. All right, we're not spending as much as other districts, or we're not as inefficient as other districts. The other category is obviously state per pupil expenditure costs, which the state average is $13,860. There are some districts in the state that spend $20,000 per student, public school. We're not even near that. We're about half. We spend about $10,679, so we're ranked 4th in that group of 105 districts, which is about 77% of what the average state district spends. So subsequently, we were about $3,181 below the state average per student. Just quickly, again, we got it broken down into instruction, support services, and you can see that we are far below the state average in almost every single category, and we are ranked 4th of 105 districts in overall spending. I thought this is a pretty telling slide here. I'll spend a few minutes on that. In the county, in districts of our size, we are the most efficiently spending district of all the districts in the county. The only 2 districts that are close to us is Woodbridge, that spends about $647 more than us, and Carteret, that spends $826. Compared to the highest spending district, which is New Brunswick, that spends over $17,000, and they spend on average $6,600 per student more than us. So just to give you an idea, and when you average them all together, we're almost $2,100 per student less spending than the remainder of the county. So it's not like we're talking about Cape May County or Bergen County. We're talking about Middlesex County, which is predominantly, those are the districts that we get compared to. Again, we're the 4th lowest per pupil expenditure from 2008 to 2011 from the bottom of the 3,500 or more students. This is the 3rd year in a row we're number 4. I'm quickly going to go over revenue. This year, like I said, we received in state aid 4% more than we did last year. Last year we took a huge hit. This year we received about $700,000 more and about $700,000 more in federal jobs money, which is right below that. However, if you look at fund balance and you look at fund balance reserve, We're putting in, of our surplus, almost $4 million in tax relief. $4 million in tax relief. That doesn't mean we're going to generate that kind of tax relief next year, but we're doing it this year to keep taxes down. And subsequently, taxes, we are, by law, we can go up to 2%. We kept it at about 1.4, which is about $250,000 below the cap. Appropriations, we're not similar to the state. We spend what we have and we appropriate the revenue that we have. So we zero out our budget. It's not like we're spending money we don't have. So as you can see, we've done a very good job in areas like tuition. Ms. Duffy's done a very good job bringing back a lot of special education students. That equates to savings in our transportation because we're not transporting those students to faraway places. So subsequently, we saved quite a bit of money. Insurance, everybody's having trouble with insurance this year. It has gone up. So subsequently, we had to appropriate more. And we consistently try to negotiate that down right to the very last minute. And as a result, our budget is going up from an appropriation end 4.6%. What does that really mean? That means about $52 per household of an assessed value of $143.7. Again, that's not market value, that's assessed value. Now, I did a little chart here which people start to say, well, where were we in regard to spending? You know, the last 6 years. Well, we started out in 2006-07 with a budget at 242. The last 6 years we failed every budget. So you can give yourself an idea of how much money we have lost, multiply that by the amount of students, and you can get a good idea that we've probably lost over the last 5 or 6 years because of the budget being defeated over $5 to $6 million, and that's on a residual basis. So I hope this year that we pass, because if you look, this is the lowest budget we have proposed by far than any of the budgets in the last 5 years, and I can probably pretty well attest in probably the last 20, because I've been here for 11 years, and I don't remember going this low. 89 I felt was low. Kevin's shaking his head. He's been here about good 17, 18 years, and in all due respect, I think this is the lowest budget we've put out as far as the proposed budget. Last year we went out at 89, and we actually finished at 25 after the budget was cut by the mayor and council. This year we're at 52, okay, and I notice there's a question mark. And the question mark means is whether or not we pass the budget or not. And it's, you know, some people say, well, the mayor and council don't necessarily have to cut the budget. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not being pessimistic, but I think they will cut the budget no matter what if it goes down. So it's extremely important that we pass this budget, as it is every year. And once again, you know, we can get into this. You know, why is it important? Well, it's important because class sizes are going up, especially in some of the elementary schools, AP classes, specific electives, college courses that are being offered, technology upgrades, infrastructure, grades online, courtesy busing, internet access. These are all things that cost money. And we want to continue to maintain that. And I think, and Mr. McEnone said this very well in closed session, I think we do a fantastic job here, and we're not going to let up, and we're really hoping that this budget goes through. And we want to keep the competitive edge. We want to be in with every other district in the state. I think, Mr. McEnone, I know you hate that when I do that. I forgot to take that out, but that's all right. I know Mr. McEnone would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. O'Connor. I just want to point one thing out on this slide, and I want to make sure everybody understands where I'm coming from. You see this right here? That means we're the fourth lowest district, as Dr. O'Connor said, in the state of 105 school districts. I'm here to tell you, I'm not proud of that. I don't go around bragging on that. And I'm certainly, my goal isn't to make us, and my goal is not to make us number one. That's not our goal. Okay. Why am I saying this? Well, I know people read newspapers, and I started to pull some things out. Because I have to ask myself, how am I doing as a board president? How's this board doing with our budgets? And the only fair way to do that, I think, is to compare us to how other districts are doing. And everybody always likes to compare us against Old Bridge and East Brunswick. That's fine. But I have a newspaper right here from the Home News Tribune, East Brunswick. Budget cuts 23 teacher jobs, and their taxes are going up almost $100 a year. South Brunswick was in the paper last week on their budget vote, and they're cutting about 100 people, and their taxes going up $229 on the average home. This was in here today, Franklin. Franklin's another school district that's comparable, and they're going up almost twice ours, $202, and they're cutting 200 jobs. Okay. So when I talk to people, I spoke to a board member today in Ocean County about school budgets, and we're comparing school budgets. And he was telling me everything he's cutting, and I'm telling you, well, let me show you the slide about all the things that we're keeping. We're keeping the courtesy busing. We're keeping full-day kindergarten. These things are important. Okay? That's what I'm proud of. This school district here, I'm a resident of Salem. And people tell me, you know, well, you're on the board, just come up with a zero budget. You want me to come up with a zero budget? I can take this pen right now, go over to where the superintendent is sitting, and start lining things out. The Board of Education has the authority to do that. That's not leadership. Leadership is coming out with a budget, even in this economic times, that's not only fair to the taxpayers, but makes our district stay the way it is. And that's my goal. I've educated 3 daughters through this school district, and I owe this school district. And if you live in Sayreville, I'm here to tell you, as your president of the Board of Education, you have a damn good school district here in Sayreville for what we spend. And what's in here on these slides, we didn't make this up. Put the next slide up. Here's a comparison of the other districts everybody wants to compare us against. You look at Old Bridge, and I know Old Bridge and all those guys, give me another $1,300 per student, I'll have almost $6 million more in my budget. You want to compare me to Old Bridge? I'll compare them with standardized test scores and anything else how you want to compare a school district. And they're spending $6 million more than we are. Okay. That's the bottom line, folks. This is a budget that increases our taxes about $52 on the average home. And I know that you may say you live more than the average home. But am I worried about your property taxes? Yes, I am. But I'm a hell of a lot more worried about your property values. And there's 2 things that's going to keep this town a good town to live in and keep your property values up. And that is a low crime rate, and that's a good school district. And my recommendation is that we not mess with either of those. That's my comment on this budget. I hope this budget passes. Yes, I do. If the budget doesn't pass, then I have a fight across town. And I'm willing to make that fight. Because this is our school district, and there's nothing more important for us to invest in is in our education of our children here in Salem. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm on this Board of Education. I'm here to tell you that this is a fair budget, that this board made a big thoughts about. We walked through this, we looked at this, and we said this is a fair budget, not only for our teachers, not only for our students, but also for our taxpayers. And I support this budget 100%. I know this Board of Education does. And I'm hoping that the good citizens of Salem will come out and realize that and vote how they should come election day. So I thank you. And at this time, if anybody wants to come up and have any questions or comments about the budget, please come up now and ask them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public want to come up? Any questions about, comments about the budget? Please come up and state your, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Alice Potensky. I live on Dane Street in Sayreville. And the first thing I'd like to say is that I really admire the dedication, and I'd like to recognize all the hours that this Board of Ed puts in out of their own time, and the work that goes into, you know, forming a budget like this, time away from your families, time away from personal pursuits, with often little thanks or reward. I stand before you tonight as the mother of 7 children who have attended Sayreville schools, as a teacher in this district, and as a voter in this community. I've witnessed the good effect of the Sayreville schools on my own children and the effect that teachers have on them. I'd like to share a couple of those stories. I won't bore you with all of them, but My son Matthew was a bright student who put little effort into academic life. But a talented and gifted teacher named Mrs. Carla Sutherland inspired him through the Talented and Gifted program to realize that knowledge, effort, and creativity would make it possible for him to pursue his dreams and to change the world. Today he's a marine biologist who travels the world conducting research in shark conservation, lecturing and working with local people to organize and carry on conservation efforts in places such as Tanzania, Africa. He's also developed his talents as a nature photographer and has won international recognition for his photos from conservation and science groups and publications. My daughter Catherine earned her PhD in microbiology at NYU Medical School, and she works as a research scientist, inspired early on by great teachers like Kathy Stricker and Laura Zukis, who is now known as Laura Naster, who were passionate about science. My daughter Laura earned a degree in special education from the College of New Jersey and went on to get a master's degree at Harvard University, teaching language and literacy, inspired also early on by volunteering with great special ed teachers, Mary Ann Gordon and the late Nancy Nowinski. Today she teaches in Massachusetts 8th grade special ed reading in a district that includes inner city Boston students with learning difficulties. Last one. My daughter Janice was a chatty child who got good academic grades, but always had those dreaded check marks for inappropriate talking, those kind of things. A great second grade teacher, Michelle Killian, predicted that one day the things that we thought at the time were problems would one day be her greatest strengths. And as a parent, this allowed me to think a little differently about what I thought were problems and recognize these as a positive part of her personality. I saw Mrs. Killian not long ago, and I told her that her prediction was coming true. My 22-year-old daughter is graduating from a cosmetology institute in 1 month, and that gift of gab will certainly help her succeed as a hair and makeup stylist. As a teacher, I listened to you say that the Board of Ed and the teachers in Sayreville are a team. Yet when questioned about Dr. Alfano's contract being settled early, your answer was, we need him. I agree that especially in these difficult times, we need an energetic and experienced superintendent like Dr. Alfano. But since the teachers and support staff are still working without a contract, the implication is that you don't need us. The teachers in New Jersey have been under attack and certainly little valued by our governor, but we don't expect to be undervalued by our own team. So as a voter, when I enter that voting booth in April, it's going to be difficult for me to support board members who don't value my work or the work of my colleagues. I would like to, you say that we're a team, but your actions speak louder than your words. I implore you, for the sake of my own family, for my colleagues' families, and for the students that we reach and teach each day, to settle our contract and unite us again as the best team we can be to educate Sayreville students and change the world, child by child. And we would like to move on with this so we can work hard to pass this budget. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Is that on? I'm very impressed with the accomplishments of your children. I always said it starts in the home, so congratulations. And I think we as parents are not judged on our own accomplishments, but the accomplishments of our children, so congratulations. The only thing I wanted to address is that you mentioned about, first of all, about not supporting board members. I've never made a decision on this board, nor I ever will, on getting a vote. And I make decisions on what I do based on me having to look at myself in the mirror in the morning. Do you know what that this is going to be settled very soon? I'm absolutely convinced of that. But I just have one question for you that just says yes, no answer. Do you know if the offer is on the table from the Board of Education to your union? It's a simple
Well,
question.
I don't know the exact details because I'm not on the team.
Okay.
But I know that we are close.
I would imagine if you did,
you might be addressing your comments to a different table. I feel that this is going to be settled with the next time we meet, which is April 11th. And I think when it is met, and we do sign a piece of agreement with the leadership of your union, you're going to find out that this is by far the best contract in this county, and it's going to rank the ground among one of the best in the state. And I think once that is out there, I think that you'll understand that we are in the same team. I've always said that, and I never say anything just to hear myself talk. My wife may argue with that. But again, congratulations, and I'm very impressed with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments? I think we have a technology problem here. Is this on? Can you? Yes, it is. I don't want Mrs. Backler to find out I used her microphone. Let's figure out some power here. But go ahead, ma'am.
No, you can use the mic.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Good evening, members of the board, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Sandra Cheng, and I live on Bailey Avenue, and I am the proud mother of 6-year-old twin daughters, both of whom are in kindergarten and are in school. I was born, raised, and educated in Sayreville, and I'm really thrilled that my daughters are beginning their education here as well. My daughter Sarah is a very bright, inquisitive, and precocious little girl who is learning so much that I really wonder how I can keep up. And if I get upset, please bear with me. My daughter Jordan is just as bright and inquisitive, but she has incredible challenges to overcome. I'm here tonight to tell you how devastating any thought of a cut to the extended school year would be. And I know it's off the table, but I need you to hear this. Jordan suffers from intractable epilepsy. In addition to being diagnosed in the autistic spectrum with PDD, NOS, SID, and other disabilities. She has been receiving therapy and educational support since she was 2 years old as part of the Middlesex County Educational Early Intervention Program, then in Cerebral's project before with Mrs. Potensky, the County Collaborative ABA Program, Special Pre-K, and now she's in Mrs. Garnett's kindergarten class for multiply disabled children in Northern School. Jordan has grown through all of her challenges, and I could not have asked for a more dedicated, compassionate teaching and support staff that I have met these past 4 years. This year, Jordan is quite simply thriving, and her progress has been nothing short of miraculous and dramatic for a whole host of reasons. And for that reason, it was so distressing for me to hear that there was a consideration to cut the extended school year, which is so critical to her development. Not a day goes by that Jordan does not amaze me or her teachers. This time last year, she was not speaking. She would spin in circles. She would run away aimlessly and cry. And she would have seizures. She was barely able to sit, let alone learn, and explore the world around her with her teachers and her friends. This year, I'm sorry, she's a brand new child, and she is so excited to be learning. She loves books and songs and practicing her writing and her speech exercises. To see her concentrating so hard on tracing her letters, completing her homework, zipping her coat, paddling a tricycle, singing songs and being so proud of herself. To see her engaging in her classroom with her teachers, her aides, her therapists, her classmates, her nurse, Mr. Byrne, and everyone in the wonderful Arlen family is miraculous. She loves and is loved by everyone she meets. she is out of a structured educational environment. She has come so far in these past months that I shudder to think what would happen if that program is reduced. I truly understand that these are difficult economic times and we must all tighten our belts. But I please implore you, should the budget not pass, which I will do everything in my power to support you, please don't cut the extended school year should you be faced with something you need to do to help the budget go through. This program, any cut to it would have a detrimental impact to our most at-risk children, those who desperately want to learn and be part of the mainstream and who will suffer tremendous setbacks without continued educational support. I thank you for your time, for listening to my story, being patient with my tears, and for listening to Jordan's story. Thank you.
Any other comments on the budget only? Matter of fact, be mindful, we will open up again for any business that may come before
Well,
the board.
I would like, Ms. Duffy, would you like
Oh,
to
you addressed
comment
that,
on
yeah.
that?
So I don't remember what I was
Since
talking about.
Yeah,
Certainly.
so, I'll just scream it out because they don't want it.
Mrs. Check, I don't know where you are. Thank you for that. And I want to let you know that, when we look at these numbers, sometimes you don't see the people behind the numbers. I was at my county meeting. We have county directors meetings once a month. And probably about a month ago, probably less than that, they surveyed directors in Middlesex County about their summer programs. And across the board, districts were cutting. Is that on?
Barely.
Barely?
Yes, it's on now.
Okay, across the county, programs were cut. Just about every district cut their ESY program, and frankly, that was my intention as well. And it hasn't been approved by the board yet. It hasn't been on an agenda, but I was batting around the idea with some people, and it was frankly my intention too to reduce it to about where the rest of the county was with making adjustments to ESY. And let me just say the feedback wasn't positive. I spoke with some parents over the weekend, some child study team members, and on Monday morning, it's on.
It's on.
It's on.
Got the right button.
On Monday morning, I sent an email to our case managers that we would be doing our full 6-week program this summer, and it will run from July 5th until August 12th, from 9 to 12, and we will have our full 6-week program. And that's why, when we go through the budget like this, and there are certain things in there that have been cut, this is something that after, speaking with some parents about it and speaking to the child study team about it, it just wouldn't be right for us. And we are sticking with our regular ESY program. So I guess that news hadn't gotten to you yet, but, that is what we're doing.
I would like to comment that we already had put that back. We already had put that back in the budget before that even started, because Ms. Duffy came to me and said, we can't afford to pull out the 6-week program. So before this even came, and she was very much an advocate for making sure there's a big groundswell in the county and through the superintendent's organizations to try to cut back on a lot of these, not these types of programs, but programs in general, because a lot of school districts, as Mr. McEnroe was saying, are getting very much hurt by all the different cutbacks and so on and so forth. But this is something that Ms. Duffy came to me the other day and said, I don't want to do this. So this was really never on the table.
It never came to the board.
No.
And it never came to the board. So if anything, it came from my organization. It really didn't come from this stuff.
And if the budget does go down,
any cuts, the board is just not going to, make cuts without recommendation and input from the administration. So it's going to be another process that we go through to determine what gets cut. So, thank you, Madam. Anyone else have any questions or comments on the budget? If not, again, I will open it up. Yes, sir. Please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Daniel Solano, Second Avenue. Can you hear me?
No, I didn't hear you.
Has to be turned on.
Hello. Oh, you can hear me? Okay. Dan Salerno, Second Avenue, Sayreville. I grew up in Sayreville. Never been to a Board of Education meeting before. And I watched one, I guess it was the last Board of Education meeting, discussed some things about the budget. And I am a teacher in another school district, but I lived here my whole life. And I didn't understand some things, and I am a little naive about some of the things in the budget. I just looked at this, but I did hear some other comments, and I talked to some other teachers. Where I teach, I pay zero for veterans. My prescription is $5. I get eyeglasses. With a bachelor's, I make $101,000 a year.
Could I ask where you teach?
Jersey City.
Ah.
Well, it's an urban district.
I
And
understand.
I talked to Frank Vella, the councilman, he says, well, you get combat pay. Well, the kids are not as bad as you might think. Yeah, 3 of my kids got killed last year. Another kid got shot right outside my classroom, but it's not that bad, right? Anyhow, the top teacher salary, when I talked to Carla at the presentation at the middle school, she said approximately the average salary for a Sayreville teacher is $60,000. I said, you really get, and the starting salary is $41,000. I said, you get people to work for that? He goes, well, yeah. I said, and the top is like 72. I understand that your budget's not going to get approved by the voters, I understand that. But
You'll support it.
I'm going to vote for yes for it, absolutely, all right? I mean, I'd have to be...
One vote at a time.
Well, I don't vote for Christie, but, there's teachers who voted for him, that's stupid, but my question is, there was one thing that I watched in that meeting, but first of all, I forget your name,
Mike McEnroe.
McEnroe.
Right.
You put that movie on, the last meeting I was watching
Yeah,
on
2
TV.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah, I put me to sleep, but, I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I ever saw. People gotta have more than just school. I mean, there's other things to school than just math, the 3 R's. I mean, there's socialization, there's developing different things, a lot more to it.
You went to sleep, but the whole key of that was not to say that they are better than the United States. You made it very clear to understand that we are superior in that area, but just so that our children in our nation's high schools understand what their competition is when they go out there and look for jobs in engineering, math.
Yeah, but you got $6 billion compared to 300.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Okay.
All right. But anyhow, the one thing that I noticed about the meeting, which I don't know, I'm very naive about the budget because I just saw these numbers now. But I remember one thing was about the point of sale was going to be, for the cafeteria, was going to be $49,000 to implement that. If I'm correct, I don't know. But you guys were considering...
It was 41,000, something like that, yeah.
49,000, I think it was. Now, from what I understand, there's approximately 500 teachers in Sayreville. I don't know the
Close.
guess. About 500. Where I teach, there's like 4,000. Our budget is $630 million, not $82 million. The superintendent there gets paid like $250, $275, but he's got 30, 40 schools plus $630 million budget. But the teachers are paying approximately, from what I understand, about $1,200 a year to keep their prescription benefits. I pay zero for that. I mean, if you have 500 people, I mean, we used to get tickets from the teacher and give her the money for getting lunch.
It's Jersey City.
No, when I went to Sayreville, we used to get
Oh, okay.
tickets, and the teacher
Lunch
used to put it in
lady,
an envelope and put the money in there
Right.
and get tickets for lunch.
Right.
Right? Do we need $49,000 when we could give them, pay their prescription benefits for that $49,000? I don't know anything else. That's all, I don't know anything. I'm not going to sit here here and talk that I am naive to all these numbers. It's the first
That's
time-
okay, now, $41,000, you know.
No, it was 49.
Well, it's 41,000, but let me, am I right?
I mean,
But
but
here's
can't
the
you
point.
give that to the
Well,
teachers?
Well, okay, you're making some comments here, okay, let me just address this particular one. Our cafeteria staff, this board, especially some of our board members, have been very concerned with the cost of the cafeteria. You know they're supposed to pay for themselves, okay? We have a director of the cafeteria who's come to us and said, hey, you know, we could be a lot more productive and efficient what we do.
I know who Michelle is.
Okay. My point is, you know, if we're going to sit here and say $41,000 is something that's going to make a more efficient process in our cafeteria, dealing with the 1,700 and some odd children that come through here, and tracking money and making it easier, and they agree, we're going to get a presentation. No decisions are made. We're going to get a presentation and learn more about the system before we commit to taxpayer dollar. But my question is going to be, if this is going to increase revenue, which this company claims, and I'm going to hold them to it, and I'm going to find out what school districts they have these systems implemented in, and what they saw an increase in revenue, then that's something, because we're telling the cafeteria staff, hey, look, you got to come, you got to be in the black, but then when they come to us and say, look, this will help me, and then I'm going to sit here and say, no, but I'm still going to hold you accountable to being in the black, you know, something has to give you. And that, to me, on the size of our budget, $41,000 in a system, that's above and beyond just what goes on in the cafeteria. I think that's a smart investment. Because, you know, in the school district, we also have a support function that we got to maintain as well.
Well, I may be naive, like, you know, 41,000 when we used to get tickets, means you could pay for the benefits somewhere. But I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not privy. I'm a little naive. This is the first time I've ever been to one of these meetings. But you know what? I think the teachers' salaries are a little bit low.
A little bit low, they're low. I've always said that.
I mean, I used to laugh. I mean, I went to school to be a teacher, but then when the salary was only $8,000 a year, I said, the hell with, I'm not going to use the language, the hell with this. In 1979, I made over $60,000 for myself, you know, as a salesperson. I became a teacher because circumstances, I became a single parent, I needed the benefits and everything else. But if it didn't pay the $100,000 a year, I don't know if I'd be teaching, but you know, my days might be numbered. Because we're going to have to go all the way to the end of July next year where I teach, right? They're going to pay us more for it, but an extra hour a day, but, you know,
I may be a little naive too. What is the state contribution, the state aid to Jersey City School District?
you know, they lost.
You know that number?
They lost $52 million. I don't know the exact number, but it's much more than you get. I know that.
It's much more than our budget.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's a little different comparing apples and oranges, and that's the reason why you pay zero towards your health benefits and those types of things.
Well, absolutely, but that's not going to be long. I mean,
I understand.
But I'm saying that, I mean, at least they could be, there's something about a scoreboard, and I don't know all about that, how much it costs for that. Some things could be paid to help the teachers, you know. Sometimes it's like all these other things are first, and teachers are last. You know what, I'll tell you something. They say, you know, my cousin told me, your days are numbered. I said, what do you mean? She goes, the party's over for you teachers. I said, what are you talking about? She goes, you know, you got all these days off, you got all these benefits, you don't pay for shinola. That's not what she said, but anyhow.
I recognize the word.
All right, so I said, well, of course, her family used to work on Wall Street, and of course, they don't have any more money, but, you know, when they were making $500, $700, $1 million a year, it was a different story. The teachers were a piece of, you know what. And it was a good part-time job to be a teacher. That's what I was told. But you know what? I'm up on the internet, and I'm searching stuff on the internet, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm saying, why am I doing this? I don't know. Am I getting paid for it? Oh, no. All right? My girlfriend. So all you teachers do is click on a lesson plan on the internet, download it, and you teach the kids. All right? It's much more than that. Teachers go on vacation. They are always looking for things that will help their students. It's a non-ever-ending thing. If you have 7 classes of 30 students, you know how many papers I disagreed that?
I teach at Jackson Memorial High School and have for the last 11 years.
ROTC.
That's right.
It's a different story.
Is it really?
Whoa.
What is your point?
I teach. Listen, I know the ROTC program in my high school. If the kids get out of control one day, they throw them in. All right? There's no
Well,
real...
now I'd say you're really naive.
Well, maybe I am, but this is what I see. All right? If they don't follow the program in the ROTC,
What do you teach? Or what's your degree in?
health and physical education.
Okay.
I don't teach gym. All right? So I just want to get that.
And where'd you go to college? What's your degree in?
Health and physical
Where'd you
education.
go to college?
The college in New Jersey.
Very, just so I understand. Just, okay.
Right? But I think ROTC is a little bit different.
I taught at the college level too. But I'm not here to
Well, it's a little
compare.
bit
But when you tell me about what a teacher does, I have another teacher, Ms. Helen Bruno Raccuglia, with a master's degree as well. It's also a teacher in the New York school system. So I think we have people up here. Mr. Bishotter is an electrical engineer. Mr. Falker is
I am not questioning
CPA.
anybody's...
Well, but the implication is that we don't appreciate teachers, and that's the third. See, I'm not naive. I know what you're talking about.
I did not say that. I said, your budget's going to get voted down. That's my opinion. But I think that if you had the money, you would give the teachers more. I believe that, all right? I mean, I understand, somebody told me you make $94,000 a year. I don't know if that's true or not.
I make more now. I make more now.
Plus your pension from the
No
military.
pension from the military.
Yeah.
I served 22 years in several
Well, I'm
companies
not-
overseas. Do you want to talk about that too?
No, I mean, that's fine.
Then keep your comments to what you're interested in with the budget.
All right, well, I think maybe you could change some things that could pay a little bit more to the teachers.
I think once the contract is settled and you see what the settlement is, I think you might think differently.
I might.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your...
All right.
I would though like to go out and have a beer with you. I think you're a fun guy.
Oh, yeah, we have some
I
interesting...
think we
And
would.
I told-
And you're Italian too, I would think, right? And you're from Jersey City, so we have some things in common. This is great.
Yeah.
We'll have a beer.
Okay.
I got you. Thank you. On me. So I make a lot. This is a fun day. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Anyone else comments on the budget? Be mindful. I will open up it again for anyone that wants to come before. Okay, let's press on with the agenda then, Dr. O'Connor. Correspondence is non-approval of minutes, not at this meeting. We don't have a student council representative or a picked individual because the second meeting of the month. Attorney's report, we don't have one. No district highlights. Take us through your brief report, Dr. O'Connor. You're from Jersey City too, aren't you? Yes.
What's wrong?
I just...
Mr. Mackin on one side of the table.
Oh, it's the other Italian guy. Sorry.
I'm in the northern section.
Okay.
He comes from Upper Plattsburgh County. All right. Okay.
Should be having fun.
All right. Superintendent's report. Section A, page 2. Use of Sayreville War Memorial High School auditorium for a India Cultural Association. Any questions with Section A? With none, moving to B. This is the tentative budget approval, 2011-12, $82,155,318 is the budget amount, and the local tax levy is $55,926,018. Moving right along, number 2 is my spring conference. Number 3 is to accept a donation of an air conditioner for the Samsel Upper Elementary School, placement of a non-classified student in the interim program, and creation of the following positions which correlate with the new budget. Any questions with Section B? With none, moving to Section C, personnel, non-certified. Reinstatement of Black Seal stipends. Any questions with Section C? With none, moving to D, personnel, certified. I would like to comment on these two gentlemen. I worked with them for the last 11 years. I would want to wish Mr. Malera, Anthony Malera, and Joseph Malera the best of everything. I really learned a lot from them. I enjoyed their company. They've been in this district, I think, over 40 years now, and they've been really the mainstay of the middle school, and I wish them nothing but Godspeed and health.
I would agree. My daughters... I will add that a significant loss to the district.
Thank you, Mr. McEnroe. We have a pregnancy leave. We also have the
amend the end date of the Sayreville Middle School Academic Support Special Education Program, which is an outstanding program, which we're extending it, and it's working out so well through our funds, which really does not cost the Board of Education any money. We also have a list of substitutes, and on the addendum there are additional substitutes. Any question with Section D? With none, moving to E, no policy. Moving to Section F, Mr. McEnon, as discussed, this is a one calendar for both 10 and 12-month employees. We went back to the old format. The only thing that's really different in this calendar is at the first paragraph at the end of the calendar where it reads, if schools are closed for any reason, the sum of the days may be made up at the end of the school year or January 16th, February 20th, and so on. And that make-up days will impact the day of graduation. This is the first reading. Subsequently, if there are any changes, we will make those changes at the next meeting.
So basically, we're sticking with the policy that we've always done in this district?
Yes.
Okay.
Any questions with Section F? With none, moving to Section G. These are the chaperones for the senior class trip to Disney. Number 2 on page 7 is the High School Honor Society to hold its induction ceremony on May 18th. The walking field trip, which is at the middle school MD class, and the National Honor Society will hold a blood drive on May 21st. Any questions with Section G? With none, moving to H, transportation contract. There's a change of a previous approved trip, field trips approval. And then if we, any questions with that section? Moving to the addendum, there's really only 2 quick items. Land Associates will do an analysis and a synopsis of the B-wing, some of the cracking of the floors, and will give us a determination on why that is happening and what we could do to remediate it. And number 4, these are professional days for teachers as listed. That concludes my report. Mr. McEnon.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. At this time, any discussion from the board on anything on the agenda before I open up to the public for agenda items? Mrs. Stratton?
I almost hate to bring this up. but
Okay, next issue.
Section A, the buildings and grounds for the India Cultural Association, I'm just making sure there's no candles involved.
Different group. It's a different group.
That's 16 candles, no. No candles.
Thank you.
Any other board discussion before I open up to the public? At this time, I'd like to open up the public for any questions or comments on the agenda items only. Be mindful, I will open up again for the public for any business may come before this board. Please come up, ma'am. State your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Beverly Pomponio. I live at 1608 Pebble Place in Berlin. My son is a senior in the high school. My question is about the Section G, the list of names for the Disney trip. All of these names, are they all high school teachers?
Some of them I recognize, but Mr. Preston, or
Yes, they are.
they're all high school certified teachers.
Every one of these people on this list is a high school teacher. And those are the only approved people to go on this trip as chaperones.
That's only what the board approves.
The only thing that's, Mr. Brown is the only one that's not a teacher, he's a principal.
Right, and he goes on the trips.
Okay, so the rest of these are all high school teachers certified to be chaperones. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions? Please come up. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Lorraine Panay, 21 Van Loan Avenue. Been a Sayreville resident for 19 years. I have 3 boys in the school system, 3rd grade, 8th grade, and senior. I just wanted to address the email that I forwarded to the board and to Dr. Alfano and to the principals of the high school. Dr. Alfano, thank you for answering so quickly. I'm not sure I agree with you, but I did want to say that I respect the board's opinion, the board's decision, and I just wanted to sort of comment on it. For everybody else, basically, it's regarding my son, Demetrius Panay, and Milvium Perito, and they're, sorry, and they were asked to go to nationals for leadership and community service.
This is DECA?
Conference, yes, I'm sorry, for DECA. In the beginning of the year, they've been working on this project for 2 years. Last year they won states, and I understand that it's only the first place that goes to the conference. However, when they started fundraising and it was all in preparation of going to nationals. So from the beginning, they have worked very hard over the past few years creating business plans, presenting them at conferences at Cherry Hill. And in addition, they have raised a lot of money on various tickets and such, and fundraisers. In addition, my son has even reached out to the CFO of Kellogg to get 1,000 Pop-Tarts donated to sell for charity. And this was primarily done with the focus of getting to nationals. Now, I understand that it's not always, it's first place, but when you talk about leadership, this is what they were, they're showing leadership. They're showing community service. They should at least have been given the opportunity to fundraise for themselves and been given the opportunity to go. When you talk about, I have 2 other boys that are going to come through Sagerville, one coming to the high school next year. I know Mr. Brown had said, they're trying to raise the bar by going from 120 credits to 130. Well, it's not only about the academics, it's about the leadership, it's about the community service, and colleges are not only looking at academics, they're looking at the leadership. So I understand your position, and if nothing can be done this year, that's what we have to do. But going forward, I really think the board needs to look at allowing children not only to go if they place first, but to go for these leadership seminars, especially since they're going to be on the same level. They're going to be attending this conference with nationwide students on the same level. So I'm just...
This is a national competition?
It's a national conference through DECA.
It's a competition?
It was, yes. They were asked to go because of their leadership skills and because they have demonstrated that they have raised a lot of money for charity for the Cancer Institute. And they were asked by the DECA team to go and meet with their other peers nationwide. So I just think it's very unfair that they can't go. Yeah, Dr. Allen, I know that's and I know that it's a set, that it's you have your rules, but now I'm asking next year you really need to reevaluate that and maybe look at it's not only about who wins first place, but it's about who's the leaders and who's going outside the box to contact those CFOs.
Yeah, I saw your email this morning, and like I said, a lot of things, the day-to-day administrative decisions that are made within the school buildings, the boards aren't privy to. We don't get down into those decisions. The administrators do that, and we have a fiduciary responsibility and a policy. So I didn't know anything, the board didn't know anything about this. We saw your email this morning. That's when I spoke with Dr. Alfano. And of course, the question I always have is, what is our policy, and have we been consistent? I know there was an issue, and maybe Ms. Kuczynski remembers a couple of years ago, Addison did mine, I think, fell into the same situation where they didn't place first and they wanted to do the same thing. And the administration decision was no. And the board basically either approves or disapproves the decision of administration. So I think what we're doing is sticking to the policy that we always have within the district. Now, can that policy change? Absolutely. And I think maybe that's something that the DECA supervisor, whoever the faculty advisor is, can approach that. But I think, when we deal with so many different organizations within the school district, what's important to me from our perspective is that we're consistent in what our policy is. Because if we deviate from this time, what do we do next time? Then why have a policy if you can make those deviations?
I agree with you, but I think going forward, especially if you're trying to raise the bar, going from 120 to 130 for academics, colleges are looking for well-rounded students.
I agree.
And this may be something that, it may not benefit my child this year, but I have 2 other children coming through the system, that for you know, the next child that, you know, shows leadership skills, they shouldn't be penalized, you know, because it's not in the policy. Maybe that policy needs to be reevaluated. That's
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt, appreciate it. Okay. I'm going blind. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Milner Piotr. I am a senior at Circle. I am also the president of DECA chapter. Aside me is Demetrius Spadani. He's also a senior vice president of fundraising. Now, about me and us, I've been a part of the chapter for the third year. This is actually the third year that it's been a part of, each other. And I placed in regionals my first year for internet marketing. Last year, alongside with my partner, we placed in states for advertising campaign. We had to create our own business and service. We also attended COLT in October, which is a chapter officer leadership training conference. We learned a lot about leadership and networking and other business skills. Now, we participated in the New Jersey statewide community service project, where we fundraised $500 to the Cancer Institute of New Jersey. Now, we got the school approved for funds for the Lady Gaga ticket sales, Pop-Tarts. He reached out to Kellogg's, and Scare Away Cancer, where it's an event where you donate $1, and in exchange you put a paper ghost or pumpkin in the hallway to support cancer. Now, our goal was to do this since last year. We've been very determined to do this. That's why we worked since early September till early December to do this. And we have support from Echo Lights, state recognition, a trophy, and qualifications to go to nationals. Here we have the trophy, and it says that we have received gold level for raising $500 to the Cancer Institute of New Jersey. I believe that attending this conference will help us prepare for my future, college. DECA has helped me a lot for college applications. I got accepted to every college I applied to because DECA helped out a great deal with all my accomplishments for him as well. And I feel like if we attend this, it will set the example for future chapter members, and we'll also be recognized, Cerebral DECA will be recognized on a national level.
A question, is it a conference or is it a
Conference.
competition?
It's the formal name is ICDC, International Conference Development Conference. What's the other thing?
It's a conference, is that
Yes,
the case?
conference.
You're the president of DECA?
Yes.
How many students do we have in DECA?
In Cerebral
That are
DECA?
active members, right?
There's over 60 members and 40 are active. 21 went to state conference. Around 40 went to a regional conference, and us two, along with Anusha Talati, who's also a senior, is going to qualify basically for nationals.
Who's your faculty advisor?
Ms. Berman.
I should have known.
And
She hears I ask that question. Nobody's saying that?
Anush Talati is going, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes, he plays first in accounting.
So Ms. Berman and Anush are going.
So, Demetrius has a couple words to say. Sure.
Basically just going off of what she said before, I contacted the CFO of Kellogg's, basically asking him to support us, and I wasn't expecting like anything back from him, but he donated 1,000 Pop-Tarts, which we sell in the morning before school to the students every day, and $1 for a package, and it's a big, like, you know, kids want them every day. They come, they sell out, and that's the money that we use to raise towards that. We had to write an 11-page business plan stating everything that we did, every single penny that we spent out of our own pockets, every single penny that we brought in. We had to discuss about our target markets, the fundraising. So everything that we have done is everything's backed up on paper, and everything's done with picture proof, and basically everything like that. Basically, if we don't get the approval for the funding, we would at least like the approval just to attend the conference with our own, like, you know, like if we pay for ourselves. And
When is the conference?
The conference is from April 30th to May 4th,
Where is it?
Orlando, Florida.
Thank you. Anything else?
My mother.
I was just talking about you.
Hi, I'm Milvian Prieto. I'm Milvian Jr.'s mom. And the reason that I called several people also in the past couple of days is because of this position in DECA. What happened was at the very beginning of the year, the children wanted to participate in New Jersey 2010-2011 statewide community service, which is not placing first, second, and third. It is a service, is a project that they have to meet the certain criteria, which the school was fully aware of. Every donation that was made, every fundraiser was for the intent to go and qualify for nationals. Just like when Demetrius went to Kellogg, it was, we need this, these are some of the things that we need so we can qualify to represent the school, because if you place gold, 2 people from your school, they'll be representing Sarah Memorial School. So they did 3 to 4 months worth of work, and once they received the trophy, they got gold. It was a huge celebration in the school, the kids, because these 2 children are role models, and Ms. Bergman, and they've all been incredible with them. And all of a sudden to get a phone call saying, oh, you can't go, the school's not approving it, or the board, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is impossible, because the intent of this project is to represent the school in your chapter, which is the president and the vice president of marketing. So all of a sudden, we're all in shock. So then I start making calls to Mr. Preston and yours truly over here. I just started making calls and going down the list, because I needed to know who said no. How did this happen? When the school knew from the very beginning that this particular project was to go to nationals. If that was the case, they should have told the students, you know what? You could do this project. You could go maybe to states. The school will recognize you. But they should have nipped it right then and there, said we only pay for first, second, and third. They should have never not say anything, because the school was fully aware, because they took the Kellogg's donations, they did all the fundraisers, and they were in full, they know. So, as a parent, all I'm saying is, if you're not approving, at least give them the chance to do a fundraiser, to do something the last minute, to go. Because it was unacceptable, this whole 48 hours of big celebration, congratulations to the school, because they are role models. Hundreds and hundreds of kids, way to go, Demetrius Milvian. And all of a sudden, in the past 2 days, it's like, oh, we can't go. What do you mean you can't go? This was not to place first, second, and third. This was a competition to represent your school, which they did it. So in closing, all I'm saying is, give them at least the ability to try to get funding in the school of fundraisers, because they earned this. This was months and months and months of work. Plus the parents, plus all the kids that participated in the school. You have no idea how many phone calls I would get in my house, how much Alex would get in her house, well, where should we go, where should we meet? I mean, this was a whole production just to get anything done, a whole production. And to find out on Friday that, no, you can't go. It's just unacceptable. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the agenda items only? Again, I will open up to the public for any business that may come before the board.
Just like to address everyone. I do support all the students at Sayreville War Memorial High School. We have some of the most wonderful students in the country. And you can see that by our wall of honor and our accomplishments. I like to continue support DECA and our students here. I think what they're trying to, as well as I'd like to, thank the board for their time and your efforts. I think my students put in a lot of time. I think what's being missed here, I agree with the board's decision. Like, if you're testing for a test and you place first, I agree with that decision. But they chose an event that doesn't have a test. They chose an event that you had to achieve a level. There was regular, there was silver, and then there was gold. It was over 300 schools that tried to attain it, and just a handful of schools attained the gold level. Sayreville Warren Memorial High School being one, because of the efforts of those very diligent and hardworking students. It was a great undertaking, and I don't want to cut them short, but they should be commended. And the bottom line was they weren't just doing it for themselves. They were doing it for a cause. The cause was called Everybody Knows Someone. Everybody knows someone who either died of cancer, has cancer, or so forth. Everybody knows someone. So it was bringing up cancer awareness and helping to contribute to find a cure and making their peers and other students aware of what's going on around them, what's going on in their community. And also, what it takes to do a fundraiser, what it takes to build a business plan, what it takes outside a test where you select, is it A, B, C, or D, or where is the hand on the clock at that moment, and actually getting out there and inspiring their fellow peers and contributing to a cause.
Ms. Berman, how long have you been advising DECA?
This is my third year.
Okay. Again, my concern about consistency, is there anything inconsistent in the policy that's been in the past on what's happening now?
We've never made it, it's only been restarted in the past 3 years, so we've never made it to nationals. This is our first year. So honestly, I don't know.
Gotcha.
All I know is the goal was try to work hard, students work hard. Our goal is to make it to nationals. And we do have students that did test, came in first in the state in accounting, and we had 2 students that chose to do the service project and see if they could reach a gold level, which they did. So I want to thank you for your time, and I really think these students should be commended either way for the great work they did.
Thank you for the information. Thank you very much. Anybody else about the agenda items? Agenda items? If not, I'm closing the public agenda items, and I'll entertain a board motion. Understand that we approve the agenda, we also will be approving the budget. I need a motion to accept and file the superintendent's report.
So moved. Second motion.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Need a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Balfour.
Yes.
Mr. Bashada.
Yes.
Mrs. Bruno Ratulia.
Yes.
Mr. Syak.
Yes.
Mr. Lembo.
Yes.
Mrs. Kraft.
Yes.
And Mr. McEnroe.
Yes, budget is approved.
Thank you.
Okay, let me see where we're at. Background information, delegate to New Jersey School Board Association.
Nothing new to report tonight.
Excellent. Just a discussion, one item, a parent had sent an email that we all got, I mentioned in my response to her that I would bring it up at the meeting. I don't know if she's here tonight or not, but the issue raised, it said again about uniforms in school. My response, and she laid out the reasons why she thought it was a good idea. My response was this is not something the board was going to initiate. If there was 1,000 parents came to the meeting and wanted to do something, certainly this is something the board would pay attention to. So I told her I did. Any board comment on, you all saw my emails, I think I input everybody. Is anybody in disagreement with that? Okay, let's press on. At this time, any other discussion items are not open up to the public. If anything may come before the board, please again come up, please state your name and address for the record. No one? Is my Jersey City friend still in? Okay. Very good. Okay, at this time, I'll close the public portion. I'll accept the